Hi there. Today on It Is a Keeper, I'm showing you how to make one of the most popular recipes on my website, Italian Hoagie Dip. This dip is amazing. We are taking a classic sandwich and breaking it down into a dip. This recipe has been downloaded thousands of times on my website. Every time I make it for family and friends, they go crazy for it. It's one of those recipes you will be making again and again. Make sure you click on the red subscribe button below so you are notified whenever I share new recipes. And if you like this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up. So let's get started making this hoagie dip. Okay, so to get started making our hoagie dip, we need to start by cutting up all of the meats and the cheese and everything that goes in to really give this some substance. So I like to start with pepperoni. And the great thing about this recipe is you can use whichever meats you like. So I'm using pepperoni, some salami, some ham and turkey. So just get it into, I like to do it into nice little stacks, and you want everything into bite-sized pieces because remember, this is a dip, right? So we don't want big chunks. We want to be able to eat it in one bite. So we're just going to chop it all up into small pieces. Next, I'm going to move on to the salami, and I like to use a nice Genoa hard salami, and I know they give it to you at the deli counter all fanned out, but just kind of get it into a nice neat stack. And again, same thing, just bite-sized pieces, nice and small. So I start by cutting it into thin strips, and then from there we'll go crosswise and make the nice small bite-sized pieces. Okay, so we have our pepperoni, we have our salami. I'm going to put some turkey. Now, if you read some of the comments on the recipe or on Facebook, the turkey is very controversial in an Italian hoagie. A lot of people don't like to use it, and that's perfectly okay. You don't have to. You can use whatever favorite meats you like to use. If you want to use capicola, mortadella, whatever you prefer. I'm half Italian, and I know this breaks all the Italian hoagie rules. But we're doing it this way today. So I'm not sure whatever neck of the woods you're in, if you call it a hoagie, a sub, a grinder, there's all different terms. I'm from Northeast PA, it's a hoagie. The next thing we're going to add to this hoagie dip is some ham. So just like everything else, thin strips, we want nice tiny bite-sized pieces. This is really the hardest part of the whole thing. All right. And we'll get that in the bowl. Next up, provolone cheese. Provolone is the perfect cheese for this dip. It is just, I love the sharpness of it. It's perfect. I'm telling you, people go bananas for this. So there's actually a story to this recipe. I was up in Oswego, New York years ago for an event they have called Harbor Fest, where everybody sits on the boats in the harbor, and people were walking around on the piers just kind of sharing different foods that they had, and the lady came up and she's like, "Here, you want to try this dip?" So I tried it and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so good. I'm like, I have to figure out how to make this. I had no idea who the lady was. I didn't know what the dip was called. I just started putting together flavors that I thought would replicate what I had tasted that day. And this is the recipe I came up with, and it is incredible, absolutely incredible. Next up, we need to add some of the vegetables to this. And the first thing I'm going to start with, let me just clear my board here. The first thing I'm going to start with is some onion. So I have just a whole onion here. I'm probably going to use about half of it. Oop, got some ham on the onion. So I'm going to cut it in half. We'll use maybe half. Peel the onion skin off. Okay, put that to the side. And again, like everything else, you want nice, small pieces. Nobody wants to bite into a big old piece of onion. You could even use a grater and grate this if you prefer. I mean, you get the flavor, but with a lot less bigger pieces of onion. You would keep it nice and small, and it would just kind of like melt into the dip. Okay, just transfer that to the bowl. Next up, I have banana peppers. So this is going to add a little bit of zip to the recipe and really gives it flavor. So if you don't like spicy things, you might want to cut back on this. If you really like it spicy, kick it up. It's entirely up to you. That's what's great about this, is it's completely flexible. So I'm just going to, like everything else, nice small pieces. So these are just jarred banana peppers. You find them in the condiment aisle, like where the ketchup and the mustard and everything is, and the olives and jarred peppers. They're that nice chartreuse yellow color. So good. They really give that like vinegary, tangy bite. I love them. If you like pepperoncinis, you can use those as well. Whatever you like on your sub, you can put in here. Next up, I have some tomatoes. So I'm just going to, again, bite-sized pieces. Everything we're doing is just bite-sized pieces. This is really not a dip that you would want to make too far in advance. Like I wouldn't make it the day before, just because the vegetables might get a little limp in there. So we have one more thing we need to add to the bowl before we move on to the dressing, and that is shredded lettuce. Now I totally take the shortcut whenever I can get it. And in this case, I bought pre-shredded lettuce from the grocery store. So I'm just going to add some of that in. You could easily just buy a head of lettuce and shred it yourself. That's perfectly fine. I'm probably going to use just a little bit more, probably not the whole package. Okay, so that is the base of the dip. Now we need to make the dressing. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the dressing. So the first thing we want to add to a small bowl here is some mayonnaise. I have about half a cup or so. Just regular plain old mayonnaise. And then we're going to add a little bit of olive oil. Just a tablespoon or so. Now we're going to build the flavor. So I have some oregano, some basil, and last but not least, for a little zip, a little crushed red pepper. And it really just brings everything together and brightens up the flavor of the entire dip. So we're going to combine this all together. If you feel it's a little thick, this looks a little thick to me, I'm gonna add a little bit more olive oil just to get a nice consistency. This is perfect. Oh, the oregano, I love oregano. Okay, now we're gonna put it all together. So we have this, our vegetables and our meat. We're gonna add the dip. And then it's just a matter of stirring. You want to make sure you have a nice big bowl when you make this. 9 times out of 10, I use the wrong size bowl. And I use one that's too small, and then I have lettuce going everywhere in my kitchen. I'm going to swap over to a bigger spatula, so I'm not making a mess. And just get it all mixed in together. All those great flavors. Oh, it smells so good. I can smell the banana peppers coming together with the oregano. Oh, I cannot wait to dig into this. All right, so our hoagie dip is ready to go. And let me tell you guys, this is party food. It's tailgating food, it's football food. It is perfect. I would just eat this with a spoon, but I like to serve it on some baguette slices, and you just load it up with the dip. And the flavors in this are incredible. Now, it gets better the longer it sits, but you don't want to let it sit for too long because you don't want that lettuce to wilt and for everything else to become mushy. But this is so good. So, so good. I'm telling you, if you make nothing else on my YouTube channel, make this dip. You won't regret it. Thanks for watching. You can get the printable recipe in the video description below. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss a single thing. And check out the rest of my videos where you can find more of my favorite easy recipes and quick tips. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.